Hey there, Drew with Auditing Reno 911. I appreciate everybody watching. Thanks for all the new subscribers. It keeps on growing. Anyways, for those of you that have watched for a little while, my goal in doing this has been to bring change. And how do you bring change? Well, number one, you bring awareness through freedom of the press and being a journalist and sharing my interactions with everybody. Number two, you follow up with the things that you see that are wrong in society. I think I've done that fairly well. I'm still trying to do more of that. When the follow-up doesn't work, well, then you bring lawsuits. I've done that. And now what I've decided to do is to run for Assembly District 40 in the state of Nevada against the incumbent. And my goal in doing that is to bring change. I want accountability for our government to the people, and I don't think there has been accountability for government to the people. I think that they've created laws, created rules where they can hide. There is no light, and so that's what my goal is to bring accountability. And against my opponent, had a long conversation with him the other day, and I'm going to publish that. That's what this is. So you can hear where I'm coming from, my reasoning, and some of his reasoning. Anyways, I appreciate it. And if you live in Assembly District 40 in the state of Nevada, I would appreciate your vote. And here's the video of our conversation. Hello, PK. My name is Drew Rebar, and I'm driving. We're on a recorded line. I've got a camera going in the car.
I don't agree to.
Oh,
you're recording this conversation?
Yeah, I record all my conversations, man.
Why?
Why? Because I've become a very disillusioned citizen of our country and the state of Nevada.
I'm going to request that you send me a copy of this conversation then.
Oh, absolutely. And because actually what I do with a lot of my stuff is I post it on YouTube.
No, that's not delivering me a copy of it though, sir.
I can get you a copy. That's not a problem.
Okay, very good then.
But yeah, I document everything. Anyways, I talked to Eddie. I signed up to run for Assembly District 40 today.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And he said we should talk.
So, you're going, by filing, what's your platform going to be?
I want to change the system. I want our government to serve the people instead of the government being served by the people. I want public servants again as opposed to public officials. I want government employees that know what the Constitution of the state of Nevada does and how it protects the people they serve. Currently, I've got two lawsuits against the state of Nevada, and I'm getting ready to drop a third.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very frustrated with what our government's done and how they violate the Constitution and take away our rights.
Okay. So where do you think that I have failed to be a public servant to my district and to the state of Nevada, sir?
Well, you voted to raise taxes a few years ago.
That was in 2015. That was at a Republican governor.
Yep.
And did you understand what that was for, sir?
Oh, yeah. I run a business in the state, so yeah.
No, okay. So explain to me, if you would, then. I'm just curious, because I've asked and answered that question about it was taken by the Democrats and misused, unfortunately, which I regret profusely. But I want to make sure that you understood originally what the intent was.
The intent was they were trying to balance the budget, and they saw a way to do it and take some money from businesses. And I mean, recognize that the business had to have a certain level of revenue and all that other garbage. But the whole issue isn't what it was about or what it was for. The whole point is you voted to raise taxes, and the taxes got raised. And fundamentally, the way that I look at the world, I am opposed to that vote in every sense of the word.
Okay.
I mean, there's just I can't overcome raising taxes. It's something that I'm against. It's like I'm against abortion. You and I probably agree on a lot of stuff, man. We probably really do. I'm not running against you. I'm running for change in the system. So it's nothing personal against you. I won't attack you. I won't say anything bad about you. I got nothing bad to say. I just think that too much power has been taken by government and state agencies, and then state agencies go out and they create their own fake regulations, and then they enforce their own fake regulations. And then when I, as a business person, come to my representatives that don't call me back, or I try to reach out to the governor that just ignores me, these same violations of law keep continuing, and I keep suffering. And I'm tired of it. And you want to know how I looked at this race? How I looked at this race is I stopped running my business as much as I should have been running my business because the government overreached. And I got up off my ass and I decided I was going to exercise my constitutional right to be a member of the press under Article 1, Section 9 of our Constitution, freedom of press, and go record our government and put it online. And then what I discovered by doing this is I could make some change by doing this. And then I started filing some lawsuits. Now, lawsuits cost me $250 to file, and then I got to pay for service, so figure $1,000 a lawsuit. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what else you can do to make change? You can go be a part of the system. It only costs you $100 to file to be a member of the legislature and the assembly. So let's go spend $100 since you're spending all this other money to sue the state, and you'll try to solve the problem in the judicial branch. I'll try to solve the problem in the assembly, and I'll try to solve the problem as a member of the press. So I'm just simply trying to solve problems from an overreaching government.
I think that's very admirable of you, but you understand as a legislature, as a Republican, most likely you're going to be in the minority. And
I'm okay with that.
And you're not going to be able to solve all problems.
But at least you've got a platform to do it, whereas I don't have a platform right now. So I just want to make change, and I'm not seeing change happening. I just see, as a man that's been around for a few decades, that sees our society keep getting worse and worse and worse. And we have more and more homeless, we have more and more drug use, we have more of these systemic problems that I think that overreaching government and government that I see as segregationist government that wants to drive wedges between people instead of uniting people, and the whole political party system, I think, is messed up too. Again, my opinion, I don't know if I can change any of that, but if you don't try to change anything, nothing will ever change.
And that's exactly why I went into the legislature. Absolutely right there.
So as I said, you and I probably agree on far more than we would disagree. Unfortunately, I just got really pissed off, and now I'm running.
So let's look at what you're going to now cause. As minority leader of the Assembly Republican Caucus, one of my goals is to help us get out of that minority position, and you're going to limit the amount of time now that I have, time and money that I'm going to have available to help other candidates that have a decent chance of winning, getting us out of the minority, to work on issues to protect the governor's vetoes and to work with the governor on addressing some of those exact same issues of homelessness, on drugs, that have been instituted or created by the Democrats on their weak policies on drugs, on their weak policies on education, weak policies on economics, businesses as a whole. And so I will be spending time now in a primary using money to defeat you, and time to defeat you that could have gone to other people, into other races to get us in that majority, or at least out of this one-third minority position.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
So that's the issue that you're causing, sir.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
The governor, when I've tried to communicate with the governor these problems, has ignored me too. So I don't really know if I care about what to me seems like something that's just going to leave the system the way the system is. And I mean, I'm a guy that likes to think about a lot of things and put a lot of thought into it. And cost balance analysis, and try to weigh out the positive and the negative. And part of it is right. I'm a very, like I said, I'm very disillusioned with the system, and I'm very upset about how the government has treated me and my business. And I believe that the government treats other people even worse than they treat me. And if I'm this upset, and they're doing worse things to other people that I do see out there in society, do I care if I upset the apple cart very much? And that's a question that I can ponder and ask myself. What's the benefit to upsetting the apple cart? How can I make change? My goal is to make change. So if you've got suggestions or things we can talk about, that's where I'm coming from. Perhaps we could reach something where I can make some change, and things can work out. But I'm not going to go away. As I said, I've tried to contact the governor. I created a YouTube channel out of this. I'm just some guy that's been running a business for the last 30 years. And the government pissed me off. And my representatives ignored me. And the government abuse keeps going on. And yesterday I had a hearing with the DMV because I'm in the transportation business. And the DMV has written me 3 citations for $21,000. This is after the Nevada Transportation already put me on trial for these same basic incidents. Oh, did you just hear double jeopardy in our system? But you know what now Director Tanya Laney has done, or Director DMV, now retired, Julie Butler did? I've told all these people all these problems, and what I see in our government and what our governor has allowed to continue to happen is just wrong. They don't get to make up fake regulations, they don't get to make up fake laws, and then when somebody speaks out about them making up these fake regulations and fake laws, they don't get to issue this man and his business citations and try to screw with it. So you talk about a waste of your time, sir. So for the last 6 years, I've been suffering under fake regulations, trying to solve these problems, and my elected officials have done nothing. These fake regulations and fake laws have cost me hundreds, if not probably millions of dollars in damages. And nobody wanted to listen. So I'm an angry citizen with how my government's treated me. How my governor's ignored me and caused me huge financial losses. Whereas here, let me be very, very blunt with you. I believe the governor may have had financial benefits from the things that have cost me money. So I'm very suspicious of him as a man.
How so do you think?
Well, there's a program in the state of Nevada called Auto Return. And as sheriff in Clark County, he was very a part of getting auto return brought into our state. I own a towing company. So once auto return was brought into our state illegally, do you know what the Administrative Procedures Act is?
I'm vaguely familiar, yes, with it.
NRS 230.
You're probably much more educated in it than I am, I will admit.
Oh,
yes.
I've got a subscription to Nexus Lexus, and I'm studying case law. That's how deep I am into this crap. How deep I never wanted to be. Anyways, how do we solve the problems?
We're going to explain it.
You know, you were saying that you also you're a First Amendment freedom of the press, and that you're a press individual.
Yes.
And I say this respectfully, although, and I mean it very respectfully. The press, when I think about, I'm old enough to recall Nixon and what the press did in bringing down a president of the United States. So I do respect the press, and I often, probably one of the most powerful groups, legitimate presentations of issues. You're giving up because as a legislator, you'll have difficulty being both a reporter or press person and a legislator.
To a point, I've thought about that, and then I go back to the language, and I failed to answer your question. Let me get back to that in a second. But I look at the language of Article 1, Section 9 of the Nevada Constitution, and what that says. It says that no law shall be made to abridge the freedom of speech or the press. So in the state of Nevada, and especially if you look at the Nevada Supreme Court case ruling, it just ruled in a case called Franconi versus 8th Judicial, where the courts were trying to limit access of the public and the press to family law cases, and they just ruled that no, they can't limit access. They can only limit to very narrowly tailored specific things in limiting any press access or access to the public in the courts. So even the Nevada Supreme Court has gotten very open about what the press is. So anyways, let me get back to the question about AutoReturn. AutoReturn is a California company outside. They're based in San Francisco, and what they do is they dispatch tow trucks for law enforcement. So where the governor's involved is the governor got them signed up to dispatch all the tow trucks in Las Vegas. Now what this caused is it caused the Nevada Transportation Authority to create a regulation without due process of the Administrative Procedures Act to add lines to the tow tariff, administrative fee, and charge a fee. Why is that illegal? Well, because in 1989, the Nevada Supreme Court case of Las Vegas Transit or Las Vegas Trolley, the Supreme Court ruled that the Public Service Commission, now the Nevada Transportation Authority, can't change regulations without that process, and they did this to add the sheriff at the time's fees to pay this outside company in California $25 per car that they ordered towed. So subsequently that came to the Nevada Highway Patrol, signed a contract with AutoReturn, and they made this administrative fee a new tax across the entire state of Nevada without any due legislative process. They took away your rights there to vote on it, and they gave it to the Nevada Transportation Authority, who through a tariff modification for one carrier modified the tariff for every carrier in the state of Nevada. And therefore now every car that I collect through the Highway Patrol, when I'm cleaning up accidents and cleaning up junk, I got to pay a California company $25 as a pass-through fee. Now a pass-through fee, you would think, well, that's not so bad, the customer's going to pay him, right? Oh, no, that doesn't happen that way. When the customers abandon the cars and I got to sell them for scrap, I got to pay a California company $25 a time. Now, strange thing about the contract with the Nevada Highway Patrol, there was an ex-Highway Patrol guy that had recently retired and magically became a contractor for this AutoReturn company. Gee, I wonder how the kickbacks happened.
You're not going to have time to
I think I don't know how long you've been in business on your toes, but I think part of that was, as I remember years ago, the tow companies used to argue that they were supposed to be on rotation.
Oh yeah, I've been doing this for decades, man.
And that I don't know the name of your company, so I'm just going to say Company B, Company A, Company B, Company C are all supposed to be a rotation. I think it was monthly, wasn't it, or was it?
Well, it all depends on the municipality or the agency you're working with. So for example, Reno Police is every other company. Nevada Highway Patrol used to be every other company. But when regulations all of a sudden change without any notice to business, and that's what this AutoReturn thing did, and it started charging this money, and the legislature never talked about it. The legislature never got to deal with the money that I'm paying out of my pocket to benefit the Highway Patrol's budget so that they can use an outside source to do all of these things. I'm paying a tax that I never voted for, that you never voted for, and that I never got any due process to even argue about. I never got a small business financial analysis like the law says I'm supposed to get.
And I think, and you are right, there is, for regulations, there is a process that they have to announce, have various public hearings, and then it has to go before the legislative commission. for approval. I'm surprised. Are the tow companies part of the Nevada Trucking Association?
No, I don't like that guy. That guy.
Okay.
That guy. Years and years and years ago, I talked to him, and he said, "Well, just join up and pay me the membership dues, and I'll call you back." Now, remember, I called you a few months ago. Back in October is when Eddie gave me your number. That's when I called you. You didn't call me back, so that,
Well,
in my world, I try to respect people and call them back most of the time if it's about something.
what number did you call? The same number?
I don't. It's in my text messages with Eddie. I'd have to go look. I'm driving right now.
Because that's unusual for me not to respond. And I will say, we're a part-time legislature. We only have staff during the 120 days, and we're expected to also maintain our rest of our life with children, grandchildren, wives. I sit on several boards at the hospital and some other nonprofits. So it is unusual because most people will say just the opposite about my responsiveness to them. So I'll apologize for missing your call for whatever reason, and I'm sure you may have been negligent at some time in your life on missing a call. But that's not the excuse. I'm just telling you. But getting back to your more specific issue that I want to learn more about, I remember years ago when I was talking about those tow companies on rotation, wait till I get to my question for you. A company B would argue that XYZ law enforcement was favoring company A more on the, I guess you'd call them the better tows, or and they got more calls than B did, and that C got more that was favored over B, over A, and they were looking for a third party, a fairer way of doing it, and that may have been why. I'm curious, did this solve some of that problem, or am I wrong that I just tend to remember that, particularly in the larger communities, being Washoe, in Clark, there was an argument over favoritism.
Well, in Clark, there was absolutely. And that was driven largely by Ewing Brothers and Snap Towing. The Ellis family owns Snap Towing, so E&E Storage Solutions. And they were also, those two companies and those families were the ones that got the storage yards going. And guess who made all the money off the storage yards? And guess who got all the law enforcement tows once those regulations were made? The two companies that were complaining, the Ewing Brothers and the Ellises. So the people that were complaining about it being unfair were the ones that got the regulations changed, and they got all the business away from all the small companies down in Vegas. Now, up in northern Nevada, there is a Nevada Towing Association now, and I was the man that went around to all the tow operators up here in the north when all this came around, and I'm the guy that got the towing association started. I was the first president. So as far as up here in the north, when auto return came in, all of the tow operators up here in the north got together, and we put our numbers together, and we said, what does law enforcement look like for us? Is it fair? Is it not fair? And when we all sat down, because we had a mutual interest in not doing auto return, and we looked at it, and we go, all of our numbers are about the same. There was no favoritism when we all sat down and compared numbers side by side. Some people were getting good tows one day, the next day you were getting the garbage tows. You take the good and you take the bad. That's how contracts work.
You're right.
But the towing association in the state of Nevada actually formed partially because auto return came in and as a way to resist it. And initially, when auto return came in with the towing association, there was a memorandum of understanding about things that were supposed to happen, and those things that were agreed upon when they allowed it to happen never happened either. But that's back when I think Gibbons was governor then, if I recall, or who was governor? It wasn't Sisolak, but.
Oh no, I know it wasn't Sisolak, although it surprised me at times. But
here, I'll be straight up. He's a piece of shit. There you go. That's my view of Sisolak.
I hear you on that. Was that then the reasoning for bringing in this quasi-computerized system, it sounds like.
Well, the reasoning they said was because it was going to save the highway patrol money, and that's why I call this a tax. And if I recall correctly, my attorney in the meeting that we went to has him saying it was a tax, saying that this financially benefits the highway patrol. Nevada small businesses paying a San Francisco company a bunch of money for every call that they get benefits the highway patrol. But it's not really a tax, it's just a fee. But if you read article, what is it, section 18 about taxes, where it says the legislature...
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, it just went real quiet all of a sudden.
Oh, I'm driving from Carson to Reno, so changing cell towers. But there's that tax, so that's one issue. That's one minor issue. Now the next issue is the DMV. Now the DMV, J.D. Decker, and he started in what I believe it was 2019, and he came in there as the administrator, chief of enforcement. Do you know who he is?
Yeah, I know the name. I don't know the person.
So he came in along with Director Butler, and they decided that they should start making some regulations. And how they decided to make regulations was via email. And they used NRS 108.6279, I believe. And that's the NRS in 108 that gives the DMV director authority to make regulations. And she just decided that she could ignore NRS 233B and just write the emails and send them out to the NTA, and that those were now the new regulations that would be enforced. And they started doing that back in 2019 is when the first emails on that came up. And what those regulations were specifically designed to do was to prevent me running my small business from profit. That's what the emails say.
The email specifically said the last
Really?
name.
You got an email from DMV saying that they won't allow you to make a profit?
Yes. And actually it gets even better than that. So they started
I'd
enforcing...
love to see that email, in all honesty, sir. I'd love to question it.
I appreciate. It's from J.D. Decker. I'm happy to share. And actually, it's on my YouTube channel if you really want to go look at it. If you really want to know why I'm pissed off, go watch. You can go sit down and watch my YouTube channel.
Pardon me?
If you want to know why I'm so upset, go watch my YouTube channel.
But you can send him the emails.
I'll send you the emails separately, but most of the emails
Yeah.
are on YouTube.
Yeah.
That is just amazing to me, that because getting back, the regulation cannot be, as I said, there is statute how regulations are made.
Yeah.
And the final is the approval from the Legislative Commission, as we call it, the LegCom. So I'm somewhat taken back or surprised by an email to say you're not allowed to make a profit.
Well, what the email...
Is that recent?
The email...
How recent is that?
I think that was 2021 or 2022. The email wasn't to me; it was internally at DMV. See, I've got a whole lot of records from the records requests. I've got thousands of pages of documents.
That is just...
And for my efforts in getting these documents and finding these things out and complaining about regulations being enforced, well, DMV Director Butler and Chief J.D. Decker and the Transportation Authority, they decided to come along and seize my papers from my office. You know, that pesky Fourth Amendment thing. Because they wanted to write me some citations.
You're breaking up a little bit. Are you by the, you say you're driving, are you by the, they're in Pleasant Valley and Steamboat particularly, going by
Nope,
Steamboat?
I'm by GSR right now. So
right in front of the airport.
Yeah.
Right in front of the airport.
That's the other spot. Is I lose, two spots I lose is there by the airport, and then
Yep.
geothermal plant is.
He's got
But we're getting past the airport here, so we'll be good in a
Okay.
second. Again, I'm going to
We
Stanton.
killed enough time.
Yeah. But the problem is, they created these regulations. I got upset. I tried to solve the problem, and then what they did is they began writing my business citations.
And they seized your papers.
And they seized my papers. But here's where it gets even worse. DMV, the law enforcement division, CED, has seized, I'm guessing, thousands, if not hundreds, if not thousands of documents from consumers. And they've got boxes of title applications sitting on law enforcement's desk for law enforcement to investigate without any probable cause, but based on fake regulations.
What are they trying to find in these titles?
They're trying to find fraud in my business. They're trying to find fraud in the towing industry. Why are they trying to find fraud in the towing industry? Now, there were no consumer complaints. There were no problems in the towing industry. Do you know Andy McKay?
Yes,
So
quite well.
I like Andy McKay. I respect Andy. Andy told me he thought it was from back in Las Vegas. There was a tow company that impounded a very expensive car, and it went to auction, and then I guess the banks and people were complaining, and it was worth a lot of money, and so DMV decided this was fraud now. And I don't believe there were any convictions, but since that, subsequent to that, according to Andy, is when they started rolling all of this other stuff out because of one incident with one company in Las Vegas.
That, unfortunately, is the way of the new world, is punish everybody for the mistakes of one.
So,
Yes, and
Which I will admit I don't agree with.
so I know you've got a background in law enforcement. I'm very, very pro law enforcement. But here's some of the things that I want to change. If I were to run and win, these are things I would try to change. I think one of them would be very difficult. Is I want to create another law enforcement agency, and their sole purpose and their sole authority is to enforce laws against government, employees, and contractors. They uphold the Constitution, and they hold government employees accountable.
That's called the Inspector General's office, and we have tried for several sessions to create an independent Inspector General's office.
Yep, because our Attorney General is corrupt.
It has been blocked by the Democrats each and every time.
yes.
We do have an audit division, but unfortunately, once again, the politics of the majority party, they're limited in what is developed from the audit division at the legislature. The governor has an audit section also.
Yeah.
You're right.
So that's one
We've
thing.
tried for years.
Another thing that I think would be probably even better than that, and the least expensive. The only part that would be expensive is the employee's time. But I think every state employee should have a mandatory 8 hours of constitutional training per year.
Yeah.
So they know what the Nevada Constitution says.
And
What is their
half of
right
them don't know.
under Article 1, Section 1 to property? Most people don't even know what Article 1, Section 1 says.
I hear you on that. See, we're trying to get it in school instead, because state employees, they have their policies, procedures within. Law enforcement takes it, and they do take refresher classes.
Well, I've got a lawsuit
that,
that if I win this lawsuit, it's going to cost the state millions and millions of dollars because they illegally arrested me after a 40-second investigation in a public parking lot for filming. I'm a man that's never been in trouble in my life until I turned 54. And I got in trouble because I took a camera out and walked down a public road to a public parking lot where Deputy Jason Bueno of the Carson City Sheriff's Office conducted a 40-second investigation from the time he opened his car door, stepped out, till I was in handcuffs, and then he put me in the back of his patrol car on a 95-degree day with no air conditioning vents in the back, and then he rolled up all the windows. How does that sound to you, sir? You were in law enforcement.
And I came from Miami. We always left the air conditioner on because it got hot.
Oh, well
I came from Oregon and we left the AC on.
What his practice was to cover up the passenger AC vent with a hose that he directed into his service vest and then point the other air conditioning vent in the front compartment at his face while the back compartment was completely enclosed off to the heat.
That was... What agency was that? Washoe, or did you say? Sorry.
Kenny Furlong, Carson City Sheriff. Now remember my business. I own a towing company.
Yeah.
I work with Kenny Furlong. I just had a meeting with him the other day about towing. But here's the problem. If you ask a deputy, what is the Third Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, what are most deputies going to tell you? Shouldn't a deputy at least know the Constitution?
Yeah, no, and they're, like I said, they take the classes on it. You are right, and they do take refreshers to defend them. They're probably more, concentrating on the Fourth, the Fifth Amendment, things along that line. Because that's what they deal with more regularly, if that makes sense to you.
It does. But they infringe on the First Amendment all the time. They infringe on the...
And they should know the First Amendment. You're absolutely right there. They're on freedom of speech.
Speech, press, petition, assembly. You know, you got the 5 prongs out there. Religion, let me not forget that. But, you know, how many officers can name off the 5 prongs of the First Amendment?
There is no, a lot of people say, in pursuit of happiness.
Yeah. Well, but that's not named in there.
That's right. That's why I say most people will throw that in there. It's not.
I would argue the Nevada Constitution gives you that, and its guarantee of liberty.
Yeah.
So the Nevada Constitution protects us.
Yeah. What is happiness? I guess would be the definition.
Oh God, you can't make everybody happy. You just got to let them be free to be whatever they're going to be.
Yeah, and that's where so often that's how lawyers make their money, is the discussion on what that means.
Oh yeah.
What the word, where's the comma, etc. And that's the frustrating part so often.
Oh yeah.
I do hear you on that.
So I mean, those are some of my simple ideas. Because, like you said, you want to put it in the schools. I want it in the schools too. But I think that people that are getting paid with government taxpayer money, that have taken oaths to uphold the Constitution and protect the Constitution, shouldn't they at least know what they're taking an oath to uphold and protect, and be able to tell you what it's about?
Yeah, I can hear your point. I guess I was looking at it more. I was thinking of somebody, since we talked DMV, at the DMV counter, taking your money on your vehicle registration.
Oh, to me,
you want them to?
I want them to know what the Constitution says, because it's. So here's how I look at it. Maybe you've got a different perspective. Is these people, whether it's the lowliest pay grade of the government, the DMV counter person, I don't know if there's lower pay grade or higher, but let's use that person, or the governor himself, shouldn't they know what this Constitution says? And that way they can go through their lives, whether they're doing their government job, or they're getting paid, or they're going to the grocery store feeding their babies. shouldn't they know what that Constitution says that they work for? And instead, what we've become is a nation of policies and procedures.
Where I was going to go is, you want them to, for their training, annual training, to be better versed on the job that they do, to make sure that your licensing fees, that your licensure vehicle registrations, etc., are appropriate, up to date, are properly issued versus the Constitution itself. I'm just looking at balance of time because we are extremely short on state employees across the board, as you well know. So, and like you said earlier, some of this is an argument or a discussion on semantics.
Right.
Admittedly.
The basic concept is, how do you get the government employees that are supposed to be protecting and upholding the Constitution know what they're protecting and upholding? All of them. Why do they exist? What is their purpose for working for the government? Well, to uphold the Constitution. Well, what does DMV do? DMV generates revenue for the government to operate and keeps records. So let them keep their records, let them generate their tax dollars, and the people that are generating the tax dollars know my tax dollars is designed to protect my personal rights. So if I want to go off of my off time and go petition or speak or say something, when I'm dealing with the cops, what can they do? What can they take? Where are the boundaries? And let's educate the government workers on what the boundaries are.
Like I said, I can understand what you're saying. I'm just looking at it for the day-to-day. What do I want them to be better versed in? Now, supervisors, the administrators, you said law enforcement, directors, they should have a much better understanding. So that's why I say some of this to me is an argument on the semantic side of where do you want them to spend their time.
Well, and you raised a thing. The state's short of employees. Why is the state short of employees?
Nobody wants to work.
You want to know?
Yeah, what's your perspective?
We don't pay them. The counties pay better. We're not attractive, and I think there's a larger issue. Younger people have lost a sense of duty or service, see a value to being a service, government service, and that's in the military, that's even in medical. So to me it goes to a farther extreme, but a lot of it is we're just not supplying, we're not attractive to the workforce.
Money usually solves most of the problems because you're competing with private industry and other government entities. And how do you win?
It doesn't. I went into law enforcement. I could have made a lot more money in going into my original field of medicine, considerably, but I just didn't feel at the time that it wasn't the service that I was enjoying. I wanted to be more hands-on in dealing with individuals in very difficult, challenging situations. When I came to Nevada, I could have admittedly, the pay is much better with some of the local agencies than with the state. But I liked the opportunity that the state gave me. So there were some things that attracted me more to the state. And so I took that loss of pay. Even come out here, I lost about $6,000 back in 1980 to coming to Nevada, to work in Nevada from where I was in Miami. And as you recall, back to 1980, $6,000 was quite a bit of money to you.
Yeah, it's probably 36 now.
But I did not enjoy the lifestyle and where Miami was at the time. So it was a decision I made, and I'm happy about it to this day. I guess that, I don't mean to preach to you. That's my...
No, well, you got to look at people's lives. You chose quality of life. What made you happy as a human being? You know, it's not for me to judge or anybody else to judge what makes another human being happy, unless they're harming somebody else in that happiness. That's the way I look at the world.
Yeah.
Live your life, don't hurt anybody, and be happy. If somebody wants to judge you, well, that's their problem. Live your life. But the money, I think, is a part of it, but I think is the other part of it culture. And how are the DMV people at the front desks dealt with? Because honestly, a lot of these people that work for the government that I've seen are power-hungry tyrants. And if they're put into a position of power over other people and they treat other people like crap, those people are going to quit that job as opposed to staying. You know, these people are really cool to work with. Instead, they quit the job because they're dealing with a power-hungry tyrant. And I find a lot of people get into government because they can exercise some power. And so I think government fundamentally has a problem in how it hires and retains people. And I think in law enforcement, one of the biggest issues is the unions. And I think that's driven away a lot of the accountability in government or the public unions. Again, think things that could possibly be changed around that would take a whole lot of work if you could get the votes done.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I think it's money and culture, and I think you can change both of them. And I appreciate what you did in the last cycle, where all the state troopers and DPS, all those guys got raises. I think that was great. They needed it.
We gave them a raise, and then they lost a lot of that, unfortunately, for their retirement pay, which is, we just can't afford to pay their full retirement. So they have to contribute 50% also of their pay. So whenever you look at a raise, it's only 50% of what it really is, I guess, is the easiest way. That's the simplest math.
Yeah, but at least you did something. You got as much as you could.
We tried.
Yeah,
and that's all you can do in any, whether it's in your business, government, my business, medical field, is to try. And you're right there. You got to try. Sometimes you win. What's the old saying? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes the game's called on rain or something like that, I think it is.
Agreed, 100%.
So, but I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. So, getting back to your issues, though, at hand, because I've got to, I had to do an award ceremony today to recognize women in Nevada, or in Carson City, I should say, for their leadership, etc. So I'm back at the House/office, and I've got to go through my legislative emails and try to get a little work done. So what is your key issue? Is it transparency in government, or you're saying education?
Personal accountability. Accountability. I think that's the best way to put it, because here's how I look at it. You've been in government most of your life. I've run a small business. So for most of your life, because you came in after the Supreme Court created a qualified immunity, and you know qualified immunity doesn't exist in Nevada anymore, right? God bless our Supreme Court, Mack versus Williams.
Yeah.
I think that may be a start to help create accountability. But in my business, if I screw up, I take money out of my wallet, and I hurt. If I screw up with the government, they come in and they write me a citation. And I take money out of my wallet and I hurt. When the government gives me a citation, I pay my attorney whether I'm right or wrong. And I hurt. Now, when the government does these things to me and they're wrong, what accountability do they have for these employees that did these things to me?
Well, very often I've seen them fired.
No. If again, yeah. I'll send you the link to my YouTube channel. I've got a lot of videos.
Okay.
And you can see, and I'll share some more documents with you. So as I said, I was illegally arrested for recording. Now, I was outside of Northern Nevada Correctional Center. No, not ooh. Now think about this. You were involved in passing this. NRS 171-1233 gave me a right to film law enforcement.
Yes.
Right? So I'm at a law enforcement facility on the public road, far outside of their building, far outside of any restricted area. I was in front of their sign just doing an intro in front of the sign on the corner there. You know that? You know what I'm talking about. Before you turn down the road to go down to the license plate factory, and they've got an auto repair shop and other businesses that are open to the public, right?
Right. Well,
they've got a licensed automobile repair shop that's open to the public down that road.
I will admit, I did not know that it was open to the public.
I didn't know that either until I deposed Deputy Director Cuenga, because he's got a lawsuit on him right now. But yeah, they've got a publicly available auto repair service that you can come and drop your car off at and get repaired and pay them money. So I was walking down this road because at the entrance of this road, where I was filming just their sign, a lieutenant came down the road and stopped me, blocking my path of travel in my vehicle. He didn't have any emergency lights, any sirens, no markings. He just drove across the double lines and stopped my path of travel in my vehicle. And then he proceeded to, there's a whole video, you can watch it. But anyways, I've got a lot of examples where government employees believe because they work for the government, whatever they do is okay. And that's not how life works.
No, just because you work for the government, you're right. It doesn't give you a supreme power. And I can't comment directly because not knowing all the facts, and since it's a court case, I definitely...
stay away from it.
Yeah, well, I try to always let the case go, having been involved in court cases. There's your side, my side, and then the judge's side or the jury's side, which is the only important side.
That's right. Well, the only side that I show is the recorded side, because the recording doesn't lie. It is just what it is. The camera picks up what the camera picks up and sees what the camera sees, and that's what you see. And to me, you mentioned the press and the media. Now we look at the press and the media in today's society. Now growing up as a kid in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, you and I watched ABC, NBC, and CBS, and then along comes Fox News in the 1990s. But that's what we had. Now in our world today, we have people like me and thousands of other people like you with cameras, where we can take a picture or a video of something that we see, and we can immediately post it, and millions of people can see it.
Correct.
So whether it's you acting as a member of the media if you want to publish anything, or me acting as a member of the media if I want to publish anything, you don't need a badge that says CNN on it to be the media. You just need media. You just need to see something, publish something factual, and let the people decide what it is.
And I think that was actually not too long ago. I forget the gentleman's name up in Silver City or Virginia City had that issue, went to court on that. Because he just had a blog, as I recall. I don't remember the exact case law on it that was decided.
I'll have to look that one up. I hadn't seen that one.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's fairly recent, in the last, I'm going to say 2 years. And I wish I could remember the man's name, but if I heard it, I remember it, but that doesn't do us any good. Yeah, so, but the media is powerful, and you're right. The other part, though, and like I said, I know nothing about your case, the incident, where, what, how, but I do know that there are certain things due to security regulations or requirements for protection, public safety protections, that can't be recorded.
Actually,
and you're right.
Actually, there's
open recording.
This is where I've spent a lot of time reading a whole lot of law and a whole lot of case law. So as far as the public recording anything, if it's in a publicly accessible space, just like if you're a police officer, if it's in a publicly accessible space, a cop can get down to my car window, put his hands in my car window to look in if he wants to see past the tinting because he's in a public space. I can take my camera and put my camera to the cop's window and go look at his computer if it's open. Hopefully he didn't leave it open.
Yep, you're right.
But anything that the public can see can be filmed. Outside of a military base, don't go past that blue line, but if you're in front of that blue line, they can't touch you.
And you're right, that's what I say, I don't know enough about, so what did they charge you with, trespass?
Yeah, they charged me with trespass, failure to identify, and then obstructing government operations.
Was this recent?
This happened on August 30th of 2022. The case was dismissed in Carson City Justice Court on December 20th, 2023. So the case is dismissed now. That's why I filed the lawsuits.
Oh, okay. I thought it was still an ongoing case.
No, the criminal case is over. The lawsuit for damages for violation of constitutional rights, all that stuff is what I'm dealing with now.
Oh, okay.
So that's, if you want to avoid that conversation, you can go watch the videos and not say nothing and just form your own opinion.
Okay, I'll probably do that in some of my free time.
Then you can figure out who the guy is that's did what he did, that is putting upsetting the monkey barrel or whatever, however you want to describe what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And maybe we can come to something where we can figure out how to solve the problems and fix
well, you
the
can't
things that I
fix,
see.
It's that old saying of one starfish at a time.
Yep.
They can't take care of them all, but it's meaningful to this one.
Yep. Well, I tried to make it meaningful in many different ways. This is just one of the many ways that I've had to go to get any notice. And what was amazing is it took, Eddie called me about 20 minutes after I went down to the Secretary of State's office. Eddie called, phone's ringing, I'm going, oh shit, Eddie already knows.
We were in the car 5 minutes.
So I don't know if it was you that got the phone call or whoever the Secretary of State called.
Well, it's posted. They have an active screen, so once all the paperwork is finalized and completed, it's live action. It shows up right away, so someone may have seen it.
Okay. So anyways, that's how this happened.
So it's public knowledge right away, for lack of a better term. That's welcome to the modern world of technology, I guess you'd say.
God bless us all.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't mean you any harm. I've got no grievances against you other than raising taxes. Other than that, I've appreciated your votes. I just see things that I want to change.
Well, like I said, sir, you're going to cause... I do believe you'd be better in your mission as a public servant in the sense of the press, and that over the legislature, respectfully submit it. You're going to cause me to pay less attention to getting us out of the minority now, and more attention to winning the race, my own race. So that's the upsetting part to me. is my obligation to the state, to the larger issue. So, I would suggest, and I offer to you, you said you talked to Eddie.
Oh, yeah.
Speak with Eddie. You may talk to some of your other counsel with him and say what would be, where can I be most productive?
Yep.
Is this the right course? Or is that the better course I can take? So,
Things to ponder.
yes. Okay.
Okay, well, good talk. You've got my number. I've got your number if you want to talk some more. And I'll ponder things. Go from
I'll look forward to seeing your email. And like I said, as I get free time, I will go over some of this YouTube channel you mentioned. And email me, then I copy or mail me however you did your recording of this conversation, please.
Absolutely.
All right?
Okay.
Otherwise, you have a great day, sir. You take care.
Okay, I appreciate it, PK.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Seems like a very nice man.
He does. Should answer my fucking phone call.
Did today.
He did today.
Why didn't we drive out there?
Because I was going to meet a driver over here, and then I was talking to him and not paying attention to this stuff right here. Now we're going to go drive and pick up a check. Hey there.
Hi.
So I got your message.
Michael didn't release the car because the guy didn't have proof of ownership, so he's gonna go get proof of ownership and then come back.
Okay. But there's a pick and pull check?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'm going to drive down to pick and pull. And where's Lenny at?
He's picking up a cop call right now and said he'll be here by pick and pull.
He's picking up a cop call?
Yeah, he has a cop call on him. And he's already on his way there.
Oh,
He's just gonna pick him up and then swing by pick and pull and meet you.
oh, okay, cool. That works.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Lenny's gonna swing by pick and pull.
They were just,
Yeah.
Mr. George Lister's car.
Well, I got their attention, didn't I? I might have even got the governor's attention with this one.
So I could go across
Well,
those
I
to the
think-
seventh, no?
I think
Cheryl?
the conversation went very well.
Oh, all right, guys. Thank you.
I think that
Alright everyone, let's draw this conclusion to a close. We've delved deep today, courtesy of Auditing, a channel that's hard-hitting in the realm of First Amendment auditing, shining a light on the nuances and at times the obstructions faced in exercising one's rights to access public
In the
records.
back.
In the
Now
piece
it's
we've
not the
unpacked
time.
together, the spotlight is cast on an endeavor to request records, a fundamental exercise of transparency and accountability. It's a vivid portrayal.
I do think that trying to think, my mind is blank. She just rolled that window down.
Just wanted her to jump out.
Did you lock it?
Yeah, I just locked it.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think that talking with him, you can have a couple more conversations like that. With him. I don't know, things maybe able to be worked on.
I'm not